Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Saturday to you. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Hope you can learn something here today, of course. If you want to become a better trader, I got you covered. CryptoCash.tech is a site. Link down below. We have a summer sale right now. When it comes to Shib, though, what we want to talk about is some key levels. I did notice that there is some Elliott wave anticipation of the price action continuing higher, at least on the larger time frames. We'll talk about that. We can also recognize the fact that we are seeing some fair value gaps potentially form at the lower price points here. So again, you got to recognize we could see a pullback within reason to a lower level there, but we have a lot of liquidity in the meantime. So we'll talk about that and much more. If you're new to the channel, of course, thank you again for watching. Greatly appreciate a like, follow, subscribe, the whole 9 yards down below. You want to follow us over here on Cash Trading. Absolutely happy to have you along. This is our Twitter, of course. We've got a Telegram as well. It performs the same function if you prefer that. But great news is we took some nice healthy profits here from Shib. A nice 62% while sleeping, so it's fantastic to be able to see that. Congrats again to our community members. We've got some other awesome benefits there. Ape, 33%, Dusk, 27%, and the list goes on if we continue to scroll back to some of our trades here again. So that's all available through our premium account there. Those are fully automated trades, and the great thing is I woke up to a handful of profit this morning. It was awesome to be able to trade while I was sleeping. I don't know if you can actually say the same unless you have an automated trading bot like Cornix. Really awesome thing there. Thanks again, Cornix and BingX, of course, for making our community a much better place. So let's go ahead and work our way down from the daily, see what's going on here now. We talked about this yesterday and a few days before, why Shib was going to break this resistance level. Okay, so we got this resistance here, previous resistance, of course, right there at about 10,000 even. Okay, so broke through there pretty strong yesterday, and again here today, continuing that pattern. What we want to do is draw out some new Fibonacci retracement levels, kind of see what's going on in the overall sense of things here, so we can understand how much further it could pull back if it does, and how much further it could go if it were to continue higher, right? So technically, we're halfway through this phase here, so we're kind of at the bottom of this phase number 2, if you will. So if this is the new bottom right there at about 1,050, so yeah, 1050, if that is the new bottom, then we hypothetically have potential for about 1,300. Okay, at least on this next run, because a lot of times the coins will typically stop at 2x and pull back for some profits. Now we got some fair value gaps that are below the current price point. We got to recognize those could get filled as well. But from a standpoint right now, there's not a lot going on here in the sense of this being kind of, I wouldn't say fairly uncharted territory, but in the recent past here, in the last couple of months, we haven't seen this kind of price action in a while. Okay, so with that being said, let's go and draw some lines here as well. We can see 0.618 is an obvious line in the sand there for us because that was a previous resistance level. It was tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times and eventually rejected. Okay, typically you see a breakthrough when that happens, but Bitcoin had a pretty bad day back in April, and that will occur. But right now, Bitcoin is holding steady about 29,400. It's a good sign. Bitcoin's just doing straight sideways, and altcoins are taking off. You got to recognize some altcoin profits will probably be taken tomorrow or Monday. So recognize that and understand that this run could be coming to an end tentatively. And let me explain why. Again, we got this key resistance here, 0.618 is about 1100 or 1150. 1150 is a good close approximate for the price action could reject out. It may have already done so already with this large candle wick up. That is not a great candlestick so far here on the daily. Let's talk about the daily and see here. We're broke above 50 and 70 on the RSI in the recent past. We're above 70 right now. Tells us it could continue to run, and that could work as a support level. That does imply that roughly 1050 will be the new bottom. Okay, again, previous resistance, previous day close. That it's kind of a consistency there where the price action is consolidating at that area, and we're probably seeing a little bit more volume there. Now, if we take a look at the volume profile, there's probably not a lot yet. We got a lot more volume down here at about the 780 mark, but for the most part right now, Shib is looking pretty strong at the current price point, if you consider the fact that we have seen extra volume in the last few days, specifically in the last week. Okay? So again, extra volume allows the price action to continue to flourish. Once that starts to dissipate, you got to recognize we're going to start seeing the price action coming back. But here's something to recognize too. With high volume here today, for example, we see a lot of volume here today, and the price action is going to potentially close where it opened. That's not a good doji candle. That's a recipe for disaster. So if we do close today, closer to about the 1050 mark, there's a great chance that won't hold as support. Even though you'd think with increased volume it would, there's a great chance that it'll break down because of the fact that there's a lot of value below the current price point. And let's go ahead and talk about this here on the 4-hour and just kind of see here where that, inside this, I like this one a little bit better. We can see this fair value gaps here right there as low as about 875, upwards of about 930. And now again, these aren't guaranteed to get filled, but for the most part, they typically do, right? We saw some sell side liquidity here before the price took off, and we saw some buy side liquidity before the price pulled back. Okay, so eventually these things will get filled, and it would make sense for the price to pull back to this level eventually. I'm not saying we're going to see that right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if Shib continues to decrease here over time based on where it's at. So by no means am I saying to sell, sell, sell. But I am saying you should have taken some profits by now. Don't get greedy. I mean, we hit our second or third profit target on Shib, and we got a small percentage left in there. We can let it ride. We hit our targets 4 and 5. That's great, but we've taken the majority of our profits, and we're happy with that. That's what you should do as a trader, honestly. And again, just some friendly advice there. So again, some obvious lines in the sand here where the price action, we got a lot of liquidity, you could say, in that level. We also got some liquidity here, right here between about 1,000 and 1050. Okay, so again, all the more reason why we should see a pullback to those levels. To me, I'm speculating we're going to see a pullback in general just based on overextension. Let's take a look at that as well. We hit a 9 on TD sequential when it came up to break this resistance level at about 1,000 even. So 1,000, the price action hit that level. Price continues higher in extreme overtime. So we're in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles into this bullish continuation. And these are 4-hour candles, mind you, right? So we're looking at about 28 hours of continuation. That's quite a lot. So at this point, it would make sense for the price to pull back in that sense. I don't speculate the price is going to rip down, but I do feel like we're going to see the price come down eventually soon. Again, overextension has a tendency of continuing lower. But again, you got to keep in mind, just like it did before, it broke through a key level resistance, came down to test that level, and now it's doing the same thing. Broke a key level resistance, retesting. Could very well run, okay? So again, I think statistical probabilities here, slightly more likelihood of those gaps getting filled and the price pulling back before it goes higher, just based on the fact that we're about, 3 trading days in this continuation? And I'll tell you what, there's a reason why they have a thing referred to as 3 black crows and 3 white soldiers. 3 white soldiers tells us that we have 3 bullish continuation days, and if it's followed by a doji candle, or in this case, a gravestone candle, definitely likelihood of pulling back further. So I think that we're going to see some pullback here from Shib here soon. It would make sense. Again, just from a technical standpoint. There's no bias here. I look at everything abstractly. I do not attach myself mentally to a coin. You shouldn't either, by the way. If you are like a Shiba Inu fan, that's all well and good. Shiba, army, whatever they call it nowadays. I'm not mocking or making fun, but if that is the case, all well and good that you like this coin, just don't get stubborn and bullheaded that this is just going to go straight to the moon and we're going to see 1 cent tomorrow. Not going to happen. That being said, 4-hour time frame, we can see we're coming back down to test 70 on the RSI. This is a key level where oftentimes when you come back down to retest, it's a continuing consideration to sell. So I'm leaning a little bit more towards a selling sign here for Shib. We can also see the MACD is starting to diverge, but we're not there yet. We're losing that momentum. Big surprise, we can kind of see it there. 1 hour, let's go ahead and wrap this up here for you. Let's go ahead and see where we're at for overextension. We came, just a note previously, we came down to a 9, second 9, hit overtime in that buy side liquidity, sell side liquidity, and then the price comes up to another 9, and a 6 retraces back, 6, 9, 5, all sorts of junk. Okay, so what that really means for us here to translate is that we're not seeing a consistency in a lot of 9s. Yes, we had one right here, of course, and one prior. So we are hitting 9s fairly often, but they're not like back to back. What that basically tells us is this is a healthier continuation because the price action is able to come up, down, fill those gaps essentially, come up and then down and kind of continue with a staircase type of pattern. So this is a healthy continuation. So that does imply that further upside could be potential with this coin. Okay. Key takeaway here though is that we are seeing right now lower highs so far. We haven't seen those in a while, and they are technically lower lows. So this next high could reject out at about 1100, come back down. So if I were to short, I would consider an entry right around 1100 or 1070, right in that range there. Okay, so again, something to kind of consider. Definitely some interesting stuff here. We will see what happens here next, but for the most part, this coin is still bullish. But again, if we close today at or below 1050, there's a solid consideration for a short at that time. Okay, again, take a look at this doji candle here forming. We've got 3 strong green days. Well, actually, technically that's 4 strong days. One of them was a doji, but there's 3 strong green days here. Today is the 4th green day. Likelihood of a red day because of the fact that the price action is overextended leading into that. Okay. Again, just some things to kind of think about. We got some food for thought. We've also got 1160 as a key level resistance, which worked very strong in the recent past. So the price does continue higher. Just know it's extremely important to consider a short at that level because of the fact that it's overextended going into it. So are these fair value gaps going to get filled? Probably in time. I don't think we're going to see it immediately. We shouldn't see a chunk down to 875. But I do think that we're going to see a retest below the 1050 range. I think that would make a lot of sense. All right, I hope this made sense to you and I described it correctly. There's a lot of little things, nuances you got to learn, but after 20 years, you kind of just get a feel for it. And this definitely feels like a pullback is coming. It's probably already happened, if you will, right at the start. So again, makes sense where we're at there. Careful what you're doing. Low leverage, low position size. Don't just 200x to the downside because I said this. There's some crazy communities that do that. It's all well and good that you do, but again, you're just risking and that's all gambling. This isn't gambling. This is a business. So you can treat it like one and make sure you make a lot of profit. But you got to be safe and realistic too. Don't just take screenshots of all your profit targets and continue to post them. Because again, that does nothing for anyone. It sets a false expectation that there's millions of dollars to be made in this industry. While there is, that's probably not realistic for you if you want to make this a full-time thing. Okay. Again, those folks, they do well in short times, but they never share their bad trades. Keep in mind, if nobody is sharing their negative stuff, they're probably not worth trusting. And again, we take some hits sometimes, but I would say we're about 80-85% likely to hit our targets. Again, all because of this. Thanks again, Technical Analysis, for everything. And I appreciate you watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day and a wonderful weekend. We'll see you again soon.